Commission was also the Historic Resources Board, so they have to like convene as HRB first and then adjourn and then reconvene as the Planning Commission.
Right.
We're making recommendations to themselves.
So I'm going to call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order for February the 1st, 2018, and we'll begin with a roll call.
Commissioner Welch?
Here.
Commissioner Westman?
Here.
Chairperson Story?
Here. And we'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to announce that this meeting is cablecast live on Charter Communications, Cable TV Channel 8, and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. It is being recorded and will be replayed on the following Monday and Friday at 1 o'clock p.m. on Charter Channel 71 and Comcast Channel 25. The meeting can also be viewed on the city's website at www.cityofcapitola.org. And our technician tonight is Lynn Dutton, and thanks to Lynn. And also as a reminder, ask everyone to turn off their cell phones. And when you speak, please sign in at the podium so we can get your name for the record, even though it is not required. Next on the agenda are public comments. This is opportunity for members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items that are not on tonight's agenda yet. Dennis.
Good evening. I'm addressing you as a citizen of Capitola and also a person who works within your systems for a regular basis. And I want to thank this Planning Commission and the staff of this city for doing such an excellent job of upgrading this antiquated zoning ordinance that we had. And I don't think anybody realized how antiquated it is until you start getting into it. And I know it wasn't a short process, but it isn't something you get a lot of thank yous for. But it's something the city's going to have to work with for the next number of years, and I really appreciate the work that you've all done together, and it was a very good public process. I have just one concern about an issue on ADUs. We seem to be getting more and more applications, or my clients are coming in and asking for the possibility of doing ADUs in Capitola, and I know that we're in transition mode right now, what can and can't be done. But there happens to be one place that wasn't addressed that I think should be addressed, and that's 17.99.080. And what it has to do with is with building heights and building ADUs. And right now, and in the new code, you cannot build a second-story ADU. In other words, if you have a single-story house, you would not be allowed to build a second-story ADU. In most cases, two-story houses are cheaper per square foot than a single-story because you only have one roof and one floor in those areas. And doing up. So I'm sure that you will see a number of applications asking for a second story for an ADU. The other thing, and this is really strange, is it says the ADU cannot be taller on the second story than the regular residence. That's like saying ADUs have to have smaller doorknobs. I mean, you derate the process and the ability of a person to design by taking away the option of a second story. So two things would stop an ADU from being built in Capitola on a single-story house is that you wouldn't be allowed to build a second story. The second one is it can't be taller than the main house. If the main house was two-story, you can go ahead and you can build an ADU upstairs, but it has to stay shorter in height. And why that is, I don't know. It doesn't do anything for design. It doesn't do anything for habitability. But I think it's something that the city should look at. I think it's a flaw that could be corrected, and the effort to helping ADUs through the process is your effort in changing the codes has been helpful. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Dennis, for bringing that to our attention. And also thank you for all your work on bringing this updated zoning code to the city. Any other members of the public wish to address the Planning Commission on items not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comments portion of our meeting, and then we'll go to commission comments. Commissioners, any comments?
I would just say, just that Dennis made a little segue there, but really, the staff deserves a big hand in getting the zoning code, because a lot of direction and keeping at least me on track through that process. So it was nice to see the city council finally sign off on it and have it behind us, other than what the coastal commission's going to do. So thanks to our staff over here.
I
Yeah.
think you'll get to see it again.
We may see it.
Next, we'll go to, speaking of staff, good evening, staff. Any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff doesn't have any comments, but I think we passed over item 2A for additions and deletions to the agenda, and staff would like to continue item 5B, given that we're missing a couple of commissioners today, and I'd like to postpone that until the March hearing.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Is there a motion to continue item 5B?
I'll make a motion to continue 5B.
It's a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda are presentations, and we have one item this evening, which is an update on our liquor license. Is there a staff presentation?
Okay. Thank you, Planning Commissioners. Before you this evening I'm just going to give a quick overview of the liquor licenses within the city of Capitola, and specifically we were asked about the village. So I'll give a brief presentation on what's existing, and then we have Sergeant Booth here this evening to talk about some programs that have been happening over the past year at the police department with some updates. So within the city, there are 72 liquor licenses. Some of these, some businesses have more than one license type, so that's why the number 72, but you're not seeing 72 dots on the map. But the higher concentrations of liquor license exist in the central village, and then there's quite a number of liquor license along 41st Avenue. The village is considered an area of high concentration, of overconcentration, per the state law. So this is the liquor licenses within the village. There's 18 permits and quite a mix of types within the village, ranging from wine licenses for wine growers, and then your typical like bars and tavern licenses, and then food establishments also serving alcohol as well as beer and wine. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's also quite a few establishments along the 41st Avenue and Capitola Road, and there's 20 there. ABC requirements that in an area of over-concentrated areas, the local governing body has to make a determination that for public necessity, convenience and necessity will be met by the issuance of an ABC license. So how we go about this within the city of Capitola, we review all liquor licenses as a conditional use permit. When an application comes in, Community Development Department works very closely with our police department. They do most of the background work and looking up the owner, and any concerns they may have, they'll bring to staff before bringing a recommendation to the Planning Commission. In speaking with the chief, it's a great way in which to make sure that a liquor license is not acquired by somebody who's could not responsibly manage a liquor license. So they do quite an in-depth check on the establishment and the owners. So with that, it's then reviewed by the Planning Commission with a recommendation from the chief and staff for approval or denial. Since my time here, there's been one denied that I know of that was recommended as a denial, but otherwise, once a liquor license is established, it's very hard to get rid of one. So it's very important during these initial steps that we work closely together, the two departments, to ensure the safety for the Capitola residents. A couple things that have been within the police department and our two departments working together. Entertainment permits are managed by the police department, as well as liquor license ongoing. And over the past year, the police department has been taking extra efforts within the village for patrolling the village. And also, they've received some grant money from ABC for enforcement and educational programs. So with that, Sergeant Booth is here, and I thought he could give you an overview of what they've been doing in the village.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Marquise Booth. I'm a sergeant at Capitola Police Department. I oversee the village program and our ABC grant, which is functional citywide for fiscal year 17-18. A few of the things that we tried different this past year was holding monthly meetings with business owners and managers and employees from the village, the bars, and all the other businesses. We invited everyone this year and had them monthly. In past years, we only had them at the beginning of summer, and that went in conjunction with like an annual summer training that we have, which we also run through the ABC grant. We try to be extremely attentive and responsive anytime something comes up. We know that's a high concentration area, and so Sergeant Ryan and I work with the business owners and the managers to try to address anything as soon as it comes up. Another thing that we did with the Village Patrol was we had weekends on Friday and Saturdays from 10, I believe, to 2 a.m. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. we had 2 officers down there on foot, and that was for added security, making contacts, rowdy people, and enforcement of ABC laws, etc., and muni code violations. So, yeah, any questions about what we're doing?
If there's a business that has a liquor license, a restaurant, and they decide to sell that business, the liquor license goes with that business, correct? They don't have to come back in
But
to
there
get
was
a
a case,
new use permit or anything. For, you know, if I bought Paradise Beach Grill,
I believe.
then it would just be a transfer of ownership.
That's correct, at least in terms of the use permit. I don't think the ABC license has to be sold. I think, you know, somebody could come in and negotiate a purchase price without the liquor license, and then it could be returned to the state pool or what have you, but that's typically how it works.
Yeah, usually it's a significant part of the selling price of a business like a restaurant or store. But the buyers would have to qualify under the ABC to hold that liquor license, just as the original owner did. So,
Well, thanks for doing this. I was the one who asked for it, and several people had asked me about liquor license in the village, and could there be more, or what happened down there. So now I'm better able to answer people's questions.
There can be more,
Yeah.
but we'll review them closely. So,
you mean as a
Very
matter
much.
of public
Nice to hear what the
convenience and
police are doing.
necessity?
as yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Officer Booth. And next, we have item 4A, which is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 7th, 2017. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the December 7th meeting.
I'll
Minutes.
second it.
So motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Which we'll move on now to the public hearing for this evening. There's one public hearing, and it's concerning a design permit for a new single-family residence located at 623 Gilroy Drive. It's within the R1 Single-Family Residential Zoning District. Is there a staff presentation?
There's.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. So tonight, the applicant is requesting a design permit for a new single-family home at 623 Gilroy Drive, as you mentioned, within the R1 Single-Family Residential Zoning District. The proposed project includes the demolition of an existing single-story, single-family residence and construction of a new two-story single-family residence. It's located in the Riverview Terrace neighborhood, surrounded by 1- and 2-story single-family homes on small lots, and just took some Google Street View pictures to illustrate the north and south view for you. The proposed residence complements surrounding neighborhood with shingle siding on the 2nd story and horizontal siding on the 1st story. It has craftsman-style features, including the barn door style garage door, exposed rafters, false beams at gable ends, and piers with slanted sides supporting the front trellis. And I'm just going to go through and let you see the west elevation, the north elevation, south elevation. The proposed 1,592 square foot residence is required to have 2 on-site parking spaces, one of which must be covered. I illustrated them here. The proposal includes 2 full-size parking spaces, one in the garage and one in the driveway. I just wanted to point out that the applicant in this particular case was engaged in the process early and often, which is what we like, asking all the right questions and working with the designer to quickly address the questions and concerns that city staff and the Architecture and Site Committee came up with. As a result, the project complies with all relevant code requirements and limitations. Staff recommends the Planning Commission review the application and approve it for 623 Gilroy Drive.
Are there questions from commissioners on the staff report?
I have none.
Okay, with that, I'll open up the hearing to the public. Members of the public who wish to address the commission.
Honorable members of the Planning Commission, I'm Dennis Norton, a representative for John and Lynn Pleck, who actually live in this longtime Capitola residence, and they're looking to expand their house, as you can see, to a 2-story from a single story. They agree with all the conditions of approval. There's one request that they would like to make is that there be an option to do on the lower siding of either doing stucco or horizontal. And it stays within the craftsman feel of the house. They have not totally decided which is the best for them. The upstairs will stay at shingles all the way through. And if we go to stucco from this, we will present obviously the plan changes to planning staff if we decide to do that. But we'd like to have that option if we could. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer it. And the owner would like to speak also. So.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners for the designer? All right. Thank you, Dennis.
Commission members, good evening. My name is John Pleck, and my wife and I, Lynn, are the owners of the property. And wanted to start out by saying thanks to Dennis Norton for really coming up with a design that we believe will enhance Riverview Terrace and the broader Capitola community. The process went very, very smoothly with Dennis's knowledge and experience. I also wanted to thank each and every member of staff. I consulted individually with each of them at different times throughout the process, and as you well know, it's a daunting endeavor to take on a project such as this with complex codes and the code changing, midstream and those types of things. But each and every one of them were available, provided great advice and guidance, and really wanted to thank them personally. So, any questions?
Right. Yeah, I don't think so. Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the commission? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment portion of this meeting. I'll bring it back to the commission for further deliberation and action. Commissioners, thoughts?
Go ahead.
Well, I think they did a really nice job on the design. I think it will work real well up on Gilroy, and they seem to have addressed all the issues that we normally have. So I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application.
Yeah, I would second that, and I would just like to add that maybe we just acknowledge that they may do stucco on that, and I'm a firm believer in helping the owners get what they want, so however that works for you, and I'm really happy to hear that the staff and the process is good, because that's what it should be like when you want to build a house. So
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so I'll make my motion with the condition that the lower level can be either stucco or the horizontal siding, whichever they choose.
second.
okay. There's a motion and a second. I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah.
Now the hard work begins.
Which,
You thought design was hard.
which brings us to the, good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. Which brings us to the director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple items for the commission this evening. At the last city council hearing, we had a lively discussion about traffic control improvements for the Jewel Box neighborhood. The council deliberated on a number of options and ultimately decided to direct staff to install bollards along 47th Street to prevent cut-through traffic, often coming from Bromer through Jade onto Topaz, where they're experiencing real high concentrations of traffic compared to their neighboring streets. So that item, I'm sure you're going to hear more about, and I expect there will probably be some more discussion at the council before all is said and done.
Rich, did you say Bowers or
Bollards or
bollards?
yeah, so they're
Plastic posts.
yeah. I think initially they're talking about putting in kind of the plastic orange or white posts in the street to direct traffic so that you can't take a right or left turn on every street in there, and they'll try to direct the traffic down either to Capitola Road or to Cliff Drive to their arterials. So that project, I'm sure you'll hear about it as we proceed. Also, not to continue patting ourselves on the back, but I did want to take a moment to publicly
Go ahead.
recognize Katie's hard work and dedication throughout the zoning code process. We're really thankful for the effort she put into it. She did a great job. So I wanted to recognize and take one more chance at embarrassing her in public. And along that same vein, I want to thank the commission. You provided great guidance, and I know you put in a ton of time and effort. And we're all really happy that we reached that milestone, but we're also aware that there's a long road to hoe ahead of us, and we're going to start that next step very shortly. Finally, at next week's City Council meeting, we have an item to discuss the city's current ordinance to prohibit commercial marijuana uses in the city. We're going to ask City Council if they would like to entertain the idea of allowing some types of commercial uses. It's going to be a high-level discussion simply to get direction from the council. If they would like us to explore options, we'll return, work with City Attorney's Office, and present some different alternatives and a number of policy issues for them to consider.
Well, Rich, will that come to the Planning Commission first, or will that go directly to the council?
So the first item is just going to be direction from them. If they tell us, yes, we want to open up some commercial uses, ultimately it'll be something that gets worked into the zoning code and would come to the Planning Commission. Interestingly, I think that would result in us amending 2 zoning codes. So it could be kind of a tricky process, but
Okay.
it's a new world we live in.
Yes.
So that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any further commission communications?
No?
No, I just to clarify, I don't know if you know the Topaz, it was a lively discussion, but so we have been on the traffic and parking, working with the Topaz group for, I want to say 3 years, trying to
Sorry.
resolve the cut-through problem, which the traffic engineer counted on 2 different occasions an average of 1,330 cars a day on Topaz at an average speed of 20 to 21. So I know it's impacting the rest of the community by doing this, but I hope we find that it benefits everybody at the end of the day. So I'm not certain it's a done deal, though. So
Okay.
with that, that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you. Hearing nothing further, I will adjourn this meeting of the Planning Commission for February the 1st. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Is this
Katie,
a record?
You're only 25 minutes.